we were in negotiations.
Investing in real estate, they're winning, they're making money.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Real Estate Educators Podcast, where we provide the education you can build on. I am your host, Kevin Amolsch. This podcast is very different than what I've seen before in that we help real estate investors, but we also dig in a little bit about the content behind that. So if you're a real estate investor or you're an influencer looking for real estate investor clients, this is the podcast for you. If you love the podcast, maybe even if you don't, please help us out. Give us a 5-star review and share this with your friend. A friend. I have a friend with me today, Gabe Rodarte. I met you, gosh, I guess it's only been 3 or 4 years. I met you in Dallas at one of our Diamond Inner Circle events. That was a fun one because that was the furry convention. No,
That was right.
To clarify, we were not part of the furry convention. We were part of the real estate conference, but there was a furry convention in the hotel, which I've never seen before. So that was very unique. But that's where I met you, man. So it's been several years and we haven't done any business yet together, but I'm sure that is coming. We have a lot in common, kids and sports, all of that. I know you're a prolific residential investor and you've started moving over to the commercial side within the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You're based out of Texas. You run a pretty big association down there. But that's about what I know, other than, the personal stuff when we're having some cocktails together, but I don't really know that much about your journey. So I want to dig into that today, if that's all right.
Yeah, let's do it.
So why don't you take us back, man? How long have you been doing real estate investing and how'd you even get started?
Yeah, so I am a grassroots type guy. I got started in real estate. I was a contractor, which was the guy who, all the way down to the guy who had the hammer and everything else, tool belt, all that stuff. That was many years ago. And then what ended up happening is I built up my teams and I started learning the business and learning just residential real estate in general. And started working with some realtors, and the realtors had make readies for their investors, and they have a rental property that they needed to get on the market or make readies for whatever needed to happen. And so that's really how I got started. I started learning the other side of the business of going, okay, if that guy can flip a house or if that guy can do this, I know I can do it. Um, and then journeyed through it. I winged it. I learned how to raise capital. I didn't know what a percentage point was. I didn't know a lot about like the business side of business. I knew how to market and sell jobs. That was basically my niche, because I came from a sales background. And so from there, I started just buying flips. I had my crew. So we just started buying properties, having rental properties, from doing wholesaling, flipping, everything single family. We still create house notes. We do creative financing now. We wrap notes, sub to seller financing, you name it. So we do have a group that this will be on eventually. This is called the Seller Financing Homes. And so that's where we just get really creative and we help people come up with really creative things. And then I started running this networking group and got really, that was really fun. Put 300 people in a room once a month and we just talk about, we're bringing educators and help people grow. And so I've always liked helping people just keep moving on and keep progressing. And so that's kind of where that niche comes from. And then right in COVID, I noticed, things were changing for everybody. And I'm like, this is the time to make a good shift. And so I just started looking for commercial. What do I do with commercial? How do I do commercial? Talk to my commercial friends. And then a buddy of ours, Luke Wong, over there where you are in your neck of the woods, at least. He was like, man, you should come in this group. And then that's how I met you at Commercial Academy and got to connect. And then have some mobile home parks now, have some industrial type stuff. And then I just JV partnered with different people. We have one of the groups, we have 200,000 square feet under management of retail shopping centers that we work on. And then we're always looking for more. So we're looking for retail centers and industrial flex. And that's my niche now. And I'm growing and growing. And, I have my license. I do all types of stuff. I think with people like us, like what I have done and what my wife has done, she partners with me. We didn't come from any other background. This was the background of flat out grassroots, just effing grind your way to the top. And when you get to the top of what you think, there's a whole other mountain.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, there's another place to go. So we bring people on our podcast and we talk to commercial investors and other people like us and like you, and really just help out a generation of people that are looking to either supplement their income, get more capital, raise money, investors type things, whatever that might be, or want to get more into commercial. And this is stuff that really is my passion. So it's a lot, right?
That's a lot, yeah, and you're killing it. I just see how much progress you've made in the short time I've known you, because I think when I met you at the furry convention,
At
you
the
hadn't done
furry
any.
convention, we should just call it that.
That's because you and I know
We
exactly what
were
I'm talking
participants,
about.
but we were there. So, we didn't
Oh
have
man,
tickets.
that was so strange. And then you ride the elevators up with them, and they're like, whatever.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
So weird.
Um,
But so you hadn't done any commercial at that point,
no,
and that was like I think that was during COVID, so right in
yeah,
2020, if I recall. So take me back when you had the tool belt on. How long ago was that?
it had to been. We started doing that in 19 years ago.
Okay, so almost
Uh,
2 decades.
yeah, I mean, gosh, I've been single family most of my life, most of my business career, something to do with residential, to some degree. And so, yeah, yeah, I mean, tool belt on and just learning the whole thing, and it was a journey. I don't want to go back there. I
Oh,
hope
I bet you
everybody,
don't.
to help them get out of, just to help supplement. Even our contractors, that we help them and help them organize stuff, and they help me, and I'm like, hey, look, I would never buy this type of home, but this would be a good starter flip, or start an investment home for you. Just start building a little bit at a time. And it depends on how big your mindset is, right? If your mindset's in a place of going, I think I'm ready to go to the next level, that's why I made my shift. That's why I started, advancing. And like you said, like, I think my language has changed, Kevin. Everything has changed about what I do, the model, the stuff that goes through my brain, how I underwrite, how quick and underwrite. It takes a process, and I don't know, there's not a shortcut to it. There's a lot of mornings and nights that you have to do all this extra work on.
Yeah, I love where you're going with this, the mindset. That's when, as I was listening to you talk, that's exactly what I was thinking. So a lot of residential investors and probably a lot of listeners to this podcast are in this category where they're just kind of getting they're kind of getting their traction now, right? And you said you went to this event because of Luke, and then you're just like your mind just expanded. And now you're not doing a little $20,000 fix and flip anymore. You're probably
Right.
looking for profits in the six figures at a minimum, I would assume.
Yeah. Yeah, so now I mean, we still have small deals. I mean, we cash flow. That's so, a buddy of mine, Chris Rude, he talks about slow, medium, and fast cash, or fast, medium, and slow, long-term slow cash. And really, like, the truth is, commercial just takes some time. And the way in the Houston market and across the nation, commercial has been taking a big hit as far as the brokers are concerned. That means that we also are not acquiring as much assets as people were before. So the volume of transactions have definitely taken a tick down. So what do you do? Right. And you're hearing multiple people nowadays say that. Well, and that's over on the commercial side. Well, same thing on the single family side. Right. And same thing on the residential side. People are getting hit pretty hard. Realtors, investors, wholesalers. So what do you do? Well, you go back to your database, you go back to what you do, how you got started, and you just look at your circle and you go, this is what I'm good at, my core competency. It's really niching down, right, of who you are, and going, okay, what else can I do that like ties into that? If you are a realtor, if you're a licensed person in your state, how do you tie into that, right? And so I'm really big in the network. It's the only reason why I'm here today, is by the group of people that I have around. And so, I love networking. I love connecting with people and being in the right room. Um, And just by doing that and posting and just letting people know what I do for a living, as far as a business and a family man and all these other things, it all comes full circle, right? And that's your identity. That's who Kevin is. And Kevin's this guy, and he posts on here, and everyone knows who you are by what you put out there. And so I just started changing what I put out there.
Sounds so simple. So you were having a lot of success prior to this transition into commercial. And
I had a decent
now,
amount of success. Yeah.
yeah, now, so if someone is kind of starting out, maybe they got a couple of deals under their belt, but it's tough right now. Inventory across the nation's at record lows. We know that. So it's very difficult in the residential side. So what advice would you give someone who's maybe newer to the industry?
Newer, you got to pony up with somebody. You have to, right now, it's too much. The learning curve is so steep to pivot and do what you're doing already. So, I mean, you're going to be working 2 or 3 jobs. You're going to intern. You're going to connect with somebody else. We get new and know guys within our group that intern, like just go, you know what? Let me just go intern. It's going to be tougher if you are, if you're already developed. My heart goes out lately, Kevin, is to the 35-year-old and up, because I'm going to be turning 43 this year, in a couple of weeks or days. And I'm noticing that that's just my niche of people, right? The 20, like 10 above, 10 below. And I'm noticing it's tough to make that transition. So what do? Well, if you have a W-2 job or you have a couple flips that you've done, you need to really understand what you're going to do with that time. If you need the capital, then you're going to have to keep the machine going. There's just no way around that. So you got to have that fast money. You're either going to be a licensed agent in your state, um, do some flips, do some wholesale deals, JV somebody, find a deal and be that broker in between, wholesaler type person, if you can do that. And so all these things are small little wins that you need to stack up. And the thing is, Joe Rogan says, and it's one of my favorite YouTube clips I listen to every now and then. But like, if you got a family, if you're over 30 and you're doing this stuff, and you only have an hour and a half to do your thing, you better be caffeinated. You better be ready to go. Like, that's old school Joe Rogan. Like, hey, listen, just if that's your niche, you better be ready. Don't waste time.
Drink your caffeine.
Drink your caffeine,
I'm
or
writing it down.
yeah. You go back and tell, hey, listen, tell your wife, everyone's gonna be like, hey, listen, Gabe says drink caffeine.
Yeah.
Uh,
Best
so
advice ever.
so yeah, that's a little bit about what I would suggest, and it's what we do. And I tell people all the time, it's like, listen, this is what you have, a limited amount of time, be very strategic with it. And most of the time, you're either going to need a coach, you're going to JV with somebody, which means joint venture, or you're just going to intern with somebody and say, hey, let me just follow you around. And that's not easy to do for smaller shops, because the smaller guys they're all over the place. They're all over town.
Yeah.
So it's hard to pin those people down.
Do you have any concern with the economy?
I don't. But I've also created a pretty decent network to not be concerned. Um, what are you referring to? Like single, like
Yeah,
residential,
just
or?
like so. I mentioned, and I don't know why I just asked that question. Just kind of came out. But like, if you're looking at the housing market, for example, and we know that the inventory is super low, so that's a strong, solid market, right? We've already seen the decline in the values, and now there's already been a recovery. So I feel like housing is super strong, but there is concern for, in my opinion, banking and commercial, and maybe they're related. But is there any concern on your end now that you're getting into the commercial space that that we're going to have increasing cap rates, and that obviously devalues property? So is there any concern here?
So here's the thing that I know, and I just came from a conference with Bob Jones. You know Bob Jones?
I don't know.
He's like an economist in the real estate sector.
You like him?
Really good stuff. Yeah, I just came back from his stuff. He went over all of Houston Metro, which is where I'm at, in Texas market. We're solid, right? We're good. Like, there's land. There's not like a mountainous terrain where we have a condensed area where you can only do some. I mean, there's new builds still happening. Are they moving as quick? No, but neither are my seller finance notes. They used to be able to just get thrown off the shelf, and now they take 1 or 2 months to find a buyer. Okay. So there's that. As far as commercial goes, I mean, I'll put it out there just because I'm repeating what other people are saying, and what I feel in my gut is that it's kind of hard to believe that the rates are going to come down anytime soon, knowing where we are, knowing that there's still, malls are still busy, things like inflation's still real, business is still happening. If that thing comes down just a little bit, I think that the housing market's going to go crazy,
Yeah.
because we already have a limited amount of housing. Even though they're saying there's enough, it's weird, that weird contradiction of they're saying that, hey, we got plenty of housing, but then people are buying. So that's interesting. I don't have any concern over that. As far as commercial goes, yeah, I mean, we hear it coming, right? I definitely hear it coming on the notes that are coming due, about notes that are about to be in default or been on the way of being called due. Um, we're hearing the for certain asset classes of being out of compliance of their loan perimeters. And so that's pretty scary. I was just on a mastermind call like an hour ago, and with some of the guys we know, and they were talking about how some of these banks, they're kind of predatory lenders. They will go back and take those loans back, and they're nationally known. Um, so there's wins in there for us, right? If we really think about it.
Yeah. That's how I look at it too. There is concern on my end. I mean, not only will they take those properties back, they're going to be forced to, because they can't have loans on their books with a DSCR under one, right? That doesn't qualify. And when you refinance an expiring loan at an interest rate that's 2 times what it was when you took out the original note, that DSCR is gonna take a hit. So,
I would say the thing that I'm concerned about though, Kevin, is like the taxes and the insurance
oh yeah,
is
that's
throwing
brutal.
off a lot of properties. Um, it's just throwing off a lot of
Yeah, so
property.
you have increase in taxes, increase in insurance, and increase in interest rate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's throwing off a lot of stuff, and just how we do underwriting, where it's like, how are we factoring in like a 30% insurance bump?
Yeah.
And
Are
no
you
one no
seeing
one
much
expect.
in the flex space? Are you guys locating any projects?
So Houston's a unique market. The stuff that we would find is going to be heavily value added C class type stuff. That's the stuff that we could find. Anything that's above that, they're pretty much building new. So there's a lot of new builds happening in the Houston metro area. So yeah, we don't, even though we're digging through the needle in the haystack, it's almost like it feels like needles in two haystacks, right? So
One
there's
needle,
only
two
one needle.
haystacks.
Yeah, one needle, two haystacks.
Good luck.
This episode is brought to you by Pine Financial Group. Pine Financial is a private lender specializing in short term rehab lending to real estate investors. Got a property that needs some love? We can help. We are able to offer funding solutions because we raise private money from individual investors. With more than 15 years of experience, Pine offers passive investors an alternative that provides stability, consistency, and security to your portfolio. If you like real estate but want to avoid the ups and downs and effort, a Pine mortgage fund could be a perfect fit for you. Accredited investors will experience an 8% preferred return and profit sharing. Diversify your portfolio out of Wall Street and into Main Street with a Pine Financial Group mortgage fund. Get more information at pinefinancialgroup.com. That's pinefinancialgroup.com.
All right, so you're still doing a lot of residential, it sounds like.
Yeah, we
I,
still
I
do.
guess I guess I didn't realize you were still that heavy in it, because I knew you were making the transition. So you sound busy, man. How do you do it? You got a team behind you? Tell me a little bit of, like, peel back the curtain a little bit here.
I'm always busy. Yeah. So yeah, we do have a team. And so most of my team are virtual. A lot of my team is virtual. And then we have some physical here, which is one that basically helps with the acquisitions type stuff for a single family, is that's just needed. Um, and then we have obviously our construction crew. We have our main GC guy, and he just handles so much for us. That's whenever we're in a pinch, he comes through every time. It always costs, but he always comes through. So that's all that matters. Um, we have the bigger flips, they just take longer, right? I mean, so if you have we have a 850, almost we have another one, almost $1 million properties in this area, still higher end land type stuff with the homes with land. Those stick out a little bit longer on the market, so you got to have some capital and some reach. And then we do our podcast, which I have a partner on, Mark Monroe. Him and I do a podcast together. And so that's our social media reach, and him and I team up on there, and we got a guy who does that with our social media and reach. And that's about to take a whole nother turn, because we're going to have, what we're doing is putting up some of it towards commercial. And that's just where I come in. I have you come on, and we have other people. And then let's see, we have that arm, commercial, mobile home park. So pretty much everything I do, I have partners on a lot of things that I do, just to kind of diversify Gabe, right? And like,
So your virtual people, are they like Philippine type thing, or
yep,
is it just
yep,
okay?
yeah,
Yeah, we're starting to explore that now. So we have three, or about to have
perfect.
three. Yeah, and it's fantastic. I'm actually highly surprised and pleased with the results. Like that, you can get good quality people that want to be on your team.
Yeah,
And I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. My main executive assistant's been with me for 7 years.
She's loves it
He,
probably. He.
oh, I mean, he's, yeah, like, and I get on him whenever stuff, I'm like, why is that not that way? And then the other party's like, oh yeah, yeah. He's been around for 7 years. I mean, we took a photo just recently of like what we looked like 7 years ago. It was weird. So, I mean, he knows the back end system. We created everything. Um, if anything that we're good at is just kind of like organizing data, because we have to. And so, we're pretty good at that. And so that's a good back. And then what happens is that's the hub. And so we don't have like three VAs across the board. We have the hub of our guy, John, and then John is in charge of the other assistants.
Oh,
So
that's a
that way
great way to
it's
do
not
it.
filtered through me. And so even through all of our broker calls and our direct to seller calls for commercial and everything, all that stuff gets filtered through our system. Like I shouldn't be touching it unless it's already got filtered once. So if somehow they figure out how to get to me, then hopefully it's a lead, or it's a conversation to have, or, I mean, sometimes it's through bank. I mean, we create lists and data and flows and marketing campaigns and all these things that I learned from single family. I just move that over and try to put it at scale. So
So on a single
it's
family
pretty good.
stuff, is it just deals just come to you now? Or are you still out there looking?
Man, we still have to hunt.
You do.
The team still has to hunt. Deals flow through us. Yeah, through our JV leads and just the many things that we do. That's why we do what we do. But I still put in marketing dollars. I think I would be nervous whenever I stop putting in marketing dollars. I get nervous whenever I cut one system and go, this no longer works. There's always a dollar trade-off for pretty much all the leads that we have. So let's just say like we do this podcast and people get to know you through your financial group, right? But the podcast takes time,
Yeah.
right? And the energy and the team that you have to do to orchestrate that and organize and put it out there and help someone else grow their business. They're going to call you, and then that's some more time, right? And hopefully they call your office, and then when they call your office, how you guys can trade off. And so there's always a trade. So my goal is this year is to have less of that trade be Gabe's personal time and just, bring on someone else. And anytime we start seeing the questions come up way too much of the same questions, then that gets organized into a system.
I remember we were in Vegas together at that little tiki bar, and you were kind of unpackaging your marketing plan with me a little bit, and it's highly sophisticated, Gabe. Like you are doing a great job with that. Is there we don't have time to dig into your
Yeah.
marketing plan, and because I want to get into your podcast and your networking group, but
Yeah.
just quickly, is there a piece of advice? Like, where would someone go if they want to get started marketing for seller leads?
Oh, shoot. Um, right now, so there is a shift. So PPC, there's a lot of stuff happening with PPC, and that's just pay per click. You're going to spend quite a bit of money doing it. Okay. Um, I still think mailers work, but I have narrowed down my list over the years. So I still think mailers work. And I've been doing this for a long time. So before it was just postcards, right? And it was all types. We tried all types of marketing. If you're just getting started and you want to learn or buy some properties, the long way is to find the neighborhood that you want them in, and then go and skip trace the properties in that neighborhood that you think are rental houses, absentee owners or whatever. The next thing I would do is I would pull a list, go through a different type of list sources, PropStream me, and just go in there, pull that areas that you want, and then you can siphon out everything from there. And they have little things. You have taxes, you have or tax issues, delinquencies for pre-foreclosures, all types of stuff. And you can just pull a boutique list. And what I call boutique lists, I mean, it's a small list that you can afford to pay and do. I think what most people misunderstand, Kevin, is that they see me or they see I'm about to go hang out with people this weekend that have a system that's probably 20 times the size of mine. And I like to do that so I can just stretch my mind. But I didn't start there. I mean, I didn't have the capital to do any of that. I didn't have the time to do any of that. So those are some of the key things. Um, if you're in a hot market, I would not suggest go the realtor route. If you're in a declining market, go the realtor route.
Oh, that's good advice.
No. I think that there's some declining markets that some realtors are excited to work with investors now, where before, like, I don't want to mess with low ballers. And you just got to position it. So it's a simple question like this. Hey, Kevin, how you doing? Hey, listen, I know this property's out there. I know that it's been out there for, let's say, 100 days. I just want to know if there's an opportunity for us to come in and, maybe present a creative finance structure or anything else that maybe that we can help them move on. If there's a story behind here that we can help them do, and we'll pay your commission, we'll pay your side, even though that's normally on the sellers, just to help the seller move on. So, 6% commission, but really you're going to cover 3, but that's because you're getting a discount rate, and you want that realtor to be on your side, because eventually it turns into a 3-way phone call. Get on the 3-way and talk to Kevin and the seller, and that's just an easy way to go about doing it. And that list, if you're in a declining market, should not be a very big list. You're looking at what, 60 days or later, something like that. That's just a
So
cool
60
cool
days, just to clarify, 60 days on market or longer.
Yeah, or longer. Something like that. I mean, it could be 90. I mean, you can start off very small and just go, let me just get working, let me just make some balls. I think the biggest thing is, man, we cold call every day. I'm always cold calling, and I just like to stay sharp on that. There was a time, Kevin, that I was very comfortable and I stopped that, and then I got rusty on the phone. And I'm like, ooh, I don't ever want that to happen again. So I'm always on the phone. I always have a pitch. I always have my elevator pitch of either it's commercial, whether it's commercial retail, commercial industrial, direct to broker, direct to realtor. Like, I know it sounds overwhelming, but this is stuff that you do as you grow. And that's what you've heard of habit stacking. And so for the audience, you're just stacking habits. That's all. So the first habit you want to get is, let's get some deals. Let's make some money. It doesn't have to be a 50K deal, right? Just could be you learning how deal work.
Stay sharp. Love it. All right, man, let's get into your group. I know you get some deals out of that. That's kind of why you started it. So
Yeah.
tell us about your group. Like, how'd you put it together? What is it? And
Yeah. So
what's the benefit you're getting from it?
Yeah, so we run real estate. We run multiple groups now. So I run the North Houston Real Estate Investors is how we really got started. It was just me and maybe 7 people in a room. I mean, it was a room of like a small community center room. And we grew it to a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. Then it was like the whole community center. And then from there, I moved to hotels, and I used to do hotel events, and I moved to event centers. Like, we just rent out basically a whole bar. And with a buddy of mine, he owns it. So it's a pretty decent center over here called Sawyer Park. And then, I just bring in speakers, and then that was really cool. So that's really, if you are interested in doing something like that, and you're that type of person who wants to put themselves out there in that way, it's a good way to network. It's just, create your own party. We live so far on the north side of Houston, we had no choice to create our own party. Everything else was in Houston. Right now, where I'm at, for me to go to this event that was the other day, and our buddy Robert Covington, I went to go down to his office because he has some new build projects that we're working on. And it took me an hour and a half to get there.
Oh my goodness.
That's there. That means it took me about an hour and 20 minutes to get back. Right. So there's my whole day. Right. So when I go into like Houston, like the area, I am mapping out the whole day and making sure I'm connected. We did this group because we're on the north side and everyone's like, what do we do up here? We need something going on up here. And so it was a really easy play. Then we created a podcast called the Real Estate Power Play podcast. And that podcast is at like 110, 111. I just saw us post something the other day. Yeah, episode 111. And that's going to be a good one that comes out. That's about finding off-market deals. Mark and I get in pretty deep on that.
That's great. That's great.
And then we have these other groups that we're connected to. So seller financing homes, creative financing, all these different Facebook groups that we just pour energy into, help people get creative stuff. And yeah, because they see us, they might send us something that they want a JV on. Or like, I don't even know what to do with this thing. This is a 10,000 square foot building. I've never even thought like this guy, it's going to crap because it's an airship thing. So we get part of certain things like that. And that's kind of the wins. If you ever see people put stuff out there like that, that's kind of the win. The other side is you're going to be fielding in, like you're just living on social media. So that's the thing, Kevin. I don't know if you've seen this big shift or not, but I'm seeing it in the last 2 years of just how much you can pick one platform, just one, and just freaking go, I just want this one platform. That's it. And just dominate on that one. And it will bring you business,
Oh yeah.
you know?
It's not easy though, and it's so that what I guess a piece of advice I would share is you got to be very patient, very consistent. So like our YouTube channel, gosh, we've been doing that for years and years, and we're just now getting 4,000 subscribers. And I know that that's not necessarily what you're supposed to be judging it on. It's more about the views and then obviously the conversions.
Yeah.
But it's taken years and it
Yeah.
still hasn't really taken off. We think we're
Yeah.
still expecting that, right? So
Yeah, we haven't even, like, as far as Real Estate Power Play podcast, 111 episodes. When we've had Ron LeGrand on, I mean, we have all types of people on our podcast, and it's still like it's slowly growing. But the interesting part is, and I was telling one of the guys from our group, and I was like, hey, yeah, this is what we're doing, and it's gradually growing, and it's actually pretty fun. Why it's different? He's like, you're not doing it for show, you're doing it to help people.
that's right.
You're doing it because you're looking to go and help people, and it's producing what we want it to produce and to help people with the time that we put into it. I'm not a professional podcaster where this is what I do 3 days a week and I'm showing up with a flashy car. We're just normal people talking about stories and trying to help out the next normal person. I'm a soccer dad, 3 kids. I'm on the fields every weekend. I'm traveling all the time with these kids. So my life is different. It's not like I'm not a young hipster. I just don't have that life. So if you are, we can still help you buy some properties. But the idea is the podcast is basically supposed to funnel in and help people just grow. And so we have about 200,000 members total between all of the different networking groups that we have, which isn't something small. Like, these are people who are engaged. Some of them are looking for their own house. Some of them are looking to sell a tranche of houses. I don't know. And then we got multifamily through there and some other stuff. So it sounds, guys, whenever I share this stuff, Kevin, it sounds like, oh my gosh, Gabe, you're doing so much. But again, it's just stacking, right? And like you said, it's playing the long game of this, just a little bit at a time. Okay, we're going to add this element to it. We're just added on me bringing on more commercial. And, I've known all these guys for almost 3 years now. Some of them are some of my greatest friends, through Commercial Academy that I've become friends with. Like you're traveling around the world with these guys, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Like climbing Kilimanjaro and stuff. And I'm like,
That's right.
that's my buddy. And I'm like FOMO and stuff. But the reality is, like, we're bringing these guys on and we want to help out a community of people because it ends up helping out Kevin, right? And you end up helping other people grow. So yeah, man, I don't mean to take over the podcast, but this is something that I think that if I can share anything with someone, like, in this market where we are, you really have to get down to your core competency. One of the second thing that we work on heavy is how we are communicating with people in this day and age. How are we talking with people? How are we communicating? Is it going to be this platform? Is it going to be Instagram? Or if it's going to be text message? It's going to be phone calls. How is that skill working right now for you? Because that's how I had to get built.
You've
I
mentioned this multiple times, but this networking, this building relationships, this partners, the joint ventures, the intern, all of these things that you're saying, you're highly focused on personal relationships, it sounds like. You attribute your success to that, I assume?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of special skills. I'm not a smart guy. It takes a long time to get in front of a spreadsheet. I mean, it's just what it is. It's my skill.
Don't believe you,
I
but
was
okay,
joking around with
we'll
my
go with
wife.
that.
Yeah, I was joking around with my wife. I'm like, look, this is just our skill. Like our skill is people, you know. I used to be a youth pastor way back in the days and speaking in front of a bunch of kids that look at you like you're like, what in the world are you talking about? And everyone's quiet while you're talking. That just helped me build up the calluses of going, it's this is just how it built. Like this is what you do. You have to keep on planting. And then eventually someone cracks and they go, hey, I could show you text message threads that are one-sided, probably 10 or 12 text messages. And then someone come back and go, hey, I have something for you. And
Oh,
most people stop at like 3. you know that's the difference. And whenever like I look back and I got to pat myself sometimes because I'm like, man, this person's not responding, and I'm like, hey, you just never know.
dude, you're making a difference. Through the podcast, I'm sure of it. Do you get feedback sometimes? Like, hey, I listened to this one episode, and because of that, I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes look, man, this podcast is kind of like to your face sometimes. So there are some people that I've talked to that I've been in the house with them going, leave the property, Kevin. And they're going, hey, Gabe, I did exactly what you said not to do on the podcast. And I'm like, I know, stop talking. Let me get it under contract for you. Please stop where you're at. He kept on talking. I'm like, just stop. He goes, you said it in the podcast. I was like, just let me work my thing. Just you step over there. I got the seller. Let's make some money, and don't worry about it. We'll get it next time. And so anyway, yeah, we could be pretty forceful sometimes.
So our listeners are primarily Colorado, as you know, and we do a lot of business up in Minnesota. So those are our two primaries. Now we have listeners from all over the country, but it's concentrated, quite frankly, in those two. So first of all, I really appreciate you coming on, being from Houston. But is there any way for our listeners to work with you, or is there like I know the podcast Real Estate Power Play, but
Yeah. Yeah.
anything
I mean,
else?
we're always looking for assets. So I have basically 2 groups that I work with on the commercial side. So obviously the big ones is storage facilities, in any type of industrial and retail shopping centers. If you run across those, let us know. And then the other side is mainly all retail. And we just have capital waiting to get applied towards these type of centers. So what I did was just create another organization, another funnel of just going, okay, I got capital to spend. What do we need to do? And so, and raising money is not easy, but it does have to do with relationships. So I'm a little better than some.
Yeah, you're good at that. And I'm such an introvert, so it's like when you and I get together, it's
I'm
like
like, come on, tell me some
yeah,
more.
yeah,
Tell me some more. What else you
exactly.
get? Okay, tell me how's that work? Okay, tell me how that works.
No, I love
Um,
it.
yeah, I'm an introvert at heart. I could stay in this office all day and I'd be fine, but then I need to get out and hang out with people. So
Yeah, you definitely thrive in that environment. All right, man. So the Real Estate Power Play, where do we find that? It's on all the platforms, I
you
assume.
could, yeah, all platforms. You go to all of the main platforms, YouTube. Um, what's the one that's dropping my mind right now?
Apple, Spotify. I think
Yeah,
those are the two big
Spotify.
ones, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Spotify. We're definitely on there.
So go check that out, you guys, because it sounds like finding off-market deals, that's obviously hugely important in an environment like we're in right now where inventory is tight. You're not finding stuff in the MLS. So I would definitely go check that out. Gabe is one of the best. I mean, I tell you, when he unpacks his marketing plan, it's phenomenal. So he knows what he's doing. So I would definitely go check out that podcast, at least that episode. If you like it, check out more. How do we get a hold of you, Gabe?
Look, I'm really easy to get a hold of. Gabe at verticalequityllc.com. And you can just call me 713-894-4272. That goes through my personal line or through the office, and you get a hold of me. I'm pretty easy.
Yeah, you just gave that's your that phone number rings to you. You just gave that out. That's pretty cool.
It
Or
runs
does it go to your virtual assistant?
Yeah. You might
Okay,
not get me all the time.
gotcha. Okay, gotcha. It's like, ooh, that's awesome. All right, so here's a couple of notes I got from today's episode. So you said it twice. Go back to your core competencies in a challenging market, and you need to rely on your network. So always be networking and nourish those relationships. Work with people, coaches, JVs, interns. You need to figure out how to have cash flow. So Gabe says maybe it's wholesaling properties, maybe it's through commissions, or maybe it's through a W-2. Um, we're not going to forget this one, Gabe. Drink your caffeine.
Drink the caffeine.
And if you're getting started looking for deals, focus in on an area, and then you can niche down further by focusing in on a specific list in that specific area. So he said like pre-foreclosures, maybe it's absentee owners. You can go after probate, any of those types of lists, but he's suggesting focus in on an area. And then in a declining market, it's okay to work with realtors. If it's not declining, then it's probably not a good idea to work with realtors. So anything else? Any closing thoughts? Anything you
Man,
want to
that's
throw in
awesome.
there?
No, let's go with it, man. Let's make it a great year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next event, man. I'm so glad that you jumped on. We got a lot of value from you. Listeners, again, check him out, check out that podcast, and we'll close out with this. I hope you make this day a great one. Thanks, Gabe.
See you.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you did, please be sure to follow and leave us a review. Oh yeah, and tell a friend.